Welcome to ISKCON of Silicon Valley and to Janmashtami 2024. Hare Krishna. Today we've been celebrating Janmashtami. It's the most well-known of international festivals. Millions of people from all cultures come and celebrate Janmashtami. Here in the United States, of course, it was made popular by the founder of our organization is Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. When he traveled from India to America, his intention was to bring the system of following Bhagavad Gita, a process that had been inaugurated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, everyone knows Bhagavad Gita comes from Krishna. And the Vedas date back to, according to the Vedas themselves, the very beginning of creation. But there's a way in which the culture that facilitates following the Bhagavad Gita, a widespread approach that can cross all boundaries, was not forthcoming. When our teacher came from India, he left from Calcutta. In fact, now, when you go to Calcutta, you can find there the dock that Srila Prabhupada got on the Jaladuta from. And when I first saw it, I felt a kind of chill go up my spine and my hair stand on end, because it was a very significant voyage. And there's something else noteworthy about his voyage to America, that the dock where he got on the ship called Jaladuta, for which he had no money, at the time that he decided to come to the United States of America, he was bereft of any resource. He had been successful in business. However, as he put it later, based on a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, in which Krishna mentions that when he does his devotee a favor, he takes away all his money. And he was in that situation, and therefore, to make his voyage to America, he had to beg passage from the owner of the steamship company. The Scindia Steamship Company's owner, a woman, Sumati Murarji, was friends with Prabhupada. She had been to his programs and knew him as a sadhu. So when he came and asked for passage for free, it wasn't that it was a luxury ship or there was some arrangement on a comfortable boat, but rather it was a cargo ship that was bringing over goods. And she arranged for a small cabin on the ship for him, albeit reluctantly, because she said, "You're too old." Many people told Prabhupada at that time, said sadhus are not supposed to cross the ocean. This was a well-known Hindu-esque idea that if you cross the ocean, you'll be contaminated because you'll go to the land of the Malechas, Chandals. Nonetheless, Srila Prabhupada had met his guru years before, who had asked him the instant that he met him that, "I want you to go and teach this in the Western countries and make it available in the English-speaking countries." He had taken that instruction to heart. He had incubated it in his heart. And he had the idea that he would be successful in business, and then he would have enough money so he could facilitate some kind of a center in America, have passage to fly here and so forth. He didn't have any of that. But what he did have was the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. As many of you know, or maybe I should ask, how many of you know how many cantos are in the Srimad Bhagavatam for 20 points? All of you don't count. How many canto? 12. The answer is 12. 12 cantos in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada had translated and given commentary on the first canto, and it was in 3 volumes. He had arranged for that painstakingly, as you can imagine, and as anyone here who has ever written anything, even a pamphlet, knows, it's not so easy to write and get something published, what to speak of 3 volumes of books. He had skimped and saved on the little money that he did have, and he was able to put that together. And that's the only real cargo that he had, besides a few personal effects that he brought on the ship. He did it at an advanced age. He was around 70 years old when he left for America, and he was alone. And as he describes in some of his recollections of the journey, he only had a few rupees, and they were not convertible at that time. It was not like he could trade them in. Besides, he had apparently only 35 rupees. It wasn't enough to live in New York City for even a week. So when we as a group had gone, we've been going regularly to Calcutta to look at some of the places where, first of all, where Prabhupada was born, in a section of Calcutta. And then one of our favorite places is the place where he got on the Jaladuta. There's a bridge, and you can get off in that bridge, and from the perspective of the bridge, you can see, even now, it's still an active port, and many ships leave from there to come to the west. But one interesting aspect of this that I had not known several years ago, and I discovered when I first went to that place, is that the ships there are on the Ganga. The sacred Ganges River goes, as you know, through Calcutta, and it's from there that the cargo is loaded, and then the ships go out into the ocean, but they leave from the Ganges. It struck me as an auspicious sign for Prabhupada's journey. And in thinking about the success that he had when he came to America, it brings up an important point. And that is that Krishna is always willing to help his devotees. In fact, as the Shastra says, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vididhati Kaman, which means that there's a plurality of eternals. There's one supreme eternal, and then there are many dependent eternals. That one supreme eternal is Krishna, and every other living entity is dependent on Krishna. And Krishna, as he says in the Bhagavad Gita, I stay in everyone's heart. I arrange for them to have intelligence, knowledge, forgetfulness. You might know the verse, Sarvasya chaham hridisani vishto matak smitir jnanam apohanam cha vedaishcha sarver hameva vedyo vedanta kridveda vedeva chaham. Where Krishna says, I'm always there with you in your heart. If you've ever noticed that you're able to solve a problem that seems unsolvable, and then you notice that the intelligence came to you from someplace, that's Krishna saying, yeah, that's me. And in the Gita, Krishna says, Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshvaram suridam sarvabhutanam gyapva mam shantim brichati. He said, if you want peace in your life, you can try to understand 3 principles. One is that whatever we produce and whatever we have, when we give it to Krishna, then we ourselves become nourished and satisfied. when we try to take it independently, then it's a burden on us. Because Krishna is called Bhoktaram. He calls himself Bhoktaram, means I can handle all these things, whereas we can't. So he says, whatever you're doing in the Bhagavad Gita, do it as an offering to me. Yat karoshi rashnashi yat juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi konteya tat kurushva manarpanam. That means, Krishna says, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever austerity you perform, do that as an offering to me. So the first principle is counterintuitive because I think, well, what about me? How will I be taken care of? But many great saints have analyzed the fact that those who don't have any means to take care of themselves seem to be taken care of anyway. Shall I give some examples? I need a quorum. That's pretty close. What about ants? How many ants are there? Try to make an educated guess. In Mountain View. You want to name a number? Give a number? I'd say around 10 million, billion. And if we investigated ants, which some people do, I don't know if you have to be an entomologist, you find that all the ants in Mountain View are dining tonight or whenever they eat. I don't know what schedule they're on. But ants have natural food. And as my teacher used to say, if you go to the jungles in Africa and someplace in India, elephants also have everything they need to eat. That is, of course, they've been persecuted, have the elephants. Nonetheless, there's abundant arrangement by Krishna in nature to take care of everyone. Every living entity, even in biblical context, in a talk supposedly given by Jesus Christ, he advised his disciples to go out and look at the field and notice that the birds were thriving. And they don't have insurance. They don't have a visa. They don't have, what else don't they have? They don't have a birth certificate. What? Social Security? They don't have to pay rent. They just find a little hole somewhere or build a little nest. They already know how to do it. No education, no student loan. Everything provided, including the wherewithal to build a nest. So there's a way in which those who are deep spiritual thinkers, like Narada Muni, for instance, had told his disciple Vyasadeva, Tasyaiva heto prayateta kovido nalavyate yad brahmatam upariyadad. That he said, Talabhyate dukkhavaranyata sukham kalena sarvatra gabira rambasa. A voice came from space. That's why Vijay sits over there. In this verse he says, notice, kalena sarvatra gabira rambasa, that it's natural that there are certain things that come to us unsought. I'll name one thing that comes to us unsought, and I want to see if I can get your agreement on it. Misery. Nobody wakes up in the morning and makes a prayer, please let the IRS call today for a complete audit. No one says, let some disease come to my household. We do the opposite. But do such things come unsought? Yes, they come in due course of time. This is what Narada is saying. And he's saying, just as those things come unsought, so similarly, the gains that we're all looking for, they also come unsought. Kalena sarvatra gabira rambasai. So he said, in due course of time, all these things will come on their own time. It doesn't mean we don't do our due diligence. It doesn't mean you have to quit work unless you want to become a renunciate, which is not recommended in this age. But it means that be a little thoughtful that everything's being provided by Krishna. And there's a way in which Prahlad Maharaj has also mentioned Naivatmana prabodharayam nijalabha purno manam jananti vidasad karuno vrinite yad yashano bhagavate vididita manam tachchatmane pratimukasya yata mukashri, which means that when you give something to Krishna, he said, then you become you're the one who gains. And he gives this example that if you decorate your face and you're looking in a mirror, then the image in the mirror is also decorated. So he's comparing us to that mirror image, that we're expansions of Krishna. But when we give to Krishna, when we serve Krishna, then we naturally become nourished and beautiful. So this is a principle that most people don't know. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave a very simple process by which everyone can follow the path of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, a truncated, simple process that anybody can follow. And that is what is called Harinam Sankirtan. This means that the way in which one can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the age of Kali Yuga is to perform congregational chanting of God's names. So coming together and chanting is the most highly recommended process in the Kali Yuga. And Srila Prabhupada brought that process with him. He came to New York City and he simply sat down in a park and began to chant. And it attracted spiritually minded people. And that was the genesis of the Krishna consciousness movement. And that's why now there are thousands of centers like this all over the world. One of the takeaways is that anyone, wherever you may live, you can, if you live in a house or an apartment or in a van under a bridge, you can equally apply the process which is effective in this age called the Yuga Dharma. And that's the chanting of Hare Krishna. So forthwith, we're going to experiment, and since we're all here together for the same purpose, and that's to see Krishna or be seen by Krishna and to please him somehow or another. That's why we came here on his birthday, right? So let's try the Yuga Dharma by chanting together from the heart and sing Krishna's names, since we're here with Krishna. Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Radha Krishna. And on the left-hand side, you see Sriman Mahaprabhu. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya means that in Kali Yuga, Radha and Krishna combine into one personality, the golden Lord named Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's golden because Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya. Srimati Radharani is golden, correct? What color is Krishna? So when they come together, what color does that make? Golden, apparently. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Sri Madhava Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Namgai Gaura Madhushvare Gai Gaura Madhushvare Gai Gaura Madhushvare. This is a song written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Nam Gai Gaura Madhurishvare. In this song, he says, Grihe Tako, Bane Tako, Shada Hari Boli Dako. How many people here speak Bengali? Okay, that's good. I can go on quoting Bengali with impunity. He says, Grihe Tako, Bane Tako. If you live in a house or you live in the forest, doesn't matter. Shada Hari Boli Dako. Sada means always. Bole Dako. Go on chanting the names of the Lord. Then he says, Suke Duke Bulo Nako. Varane Harinam Korore. Whether you're happy or you're distressed. In both cases, go on chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Next he says, you're trapped in a net called Maya. And he says, try to take shelter of Radha and Krishna by chanting the holy names of the Lord to get free from this net. And he ends the song by saying, we can leave this world at any minute. Jivana hoilo shesh, na bhaji le rishikesh. Just remember that nothing's guaranteed. We don't know if we're going to live 5 years, 50 years, or 5 seconds. Therefore he says, Ek bar naam rashe matore. One time, try to be carried away by the intoxication of the name of Krishna. Nam Gai Gaura Madhushvare. Gai Gaura Madhushvare.